Today, in lesson number 6, Christ Foretold, line up the Claimants, Sheen continues that theme of looking at Christ from the perspective of, is he in fact who he says he is? Looking at the idea of does he meet the first criteria of being pre-announced? He gives us this idea that God has always been trying to reveal to man this revelation. And throughout the stage of human history, there are many that have come up on the stage and says that I'm from God and I have a message. And so he looks at some of those philosophies. He looks at Confucianism, he looks at Buddhism, he looks at Islam, and he draws a comparison. He says that none of those philosophies are those philosophies drawing one. For example, Confucianism doesn't call you to become Confucius, no more than Islam calls you to become Muhammad. But rather, in Christianity, here that a Christian is called to enter into a relationship with Christ, to become one with Christ. And so for that context, he draws that ideology, as it were, aside and says, now let's look at this one. Was this guy pre-announced? When he entered into the stage of human history, was he pre-announced? Think about that. When he looks at the scripture, and not from an inspired perspective, but from a historical perspective, that there were 456 prophecies about this messenger who was to come from God, who was to become, who was to be, who is the Son of God. In Luke chapter 22, verse 24, when this young carpenter stands up and declares at the age of 30, I am the Son of God. When we see him there also in the Gospel of Luke, when he's there in the temple, when they give him the scrolls, and he's in the temple of Jerusalem with the Holy of Holies, with the Ark of the Covenant, and he reads from the scroll of Malachi, and he says, this day, this prophecy has been fulfilled in your ears. For the next 3 years, Jesus would systematically fulfill every one of the prophecies. When we take that concept, Sheen gives us this idea, has anybody else had that? And the answer is no. And from that process of reason alone, he says, well, then this one shall we study. Then this one we shall research. This one we shall open our hearts. This one we shall hear his message. Sheen gives us the beginning of the understanding of the divine revelation of God to man. God love you.